Ursula K. Le Guin is one of the most important figures in 20th century fantasy and science fiction writing. She's important in both fields. She published her first novel, as John Clute has written, she published her first novel in 1966. By 1970, she's spoken as one of the leaders of the field. She writes, she's born into an academic family. Her father is a famous professor of anthropology at UC Berkeley, the University of California, Berkeley. She goes to Radcliffe, the then separate women's college attached to Harvard University, and to her dying day, she denied having gone to Harvard. She went to Radcliffe, damn it. Then she went to Columbia for an MA in French literature, got I think a Fulbright fellowship to France. A bright, well-educated, educationally privileged person, but a woman in post-war America. She is a faculty wife. She begins writing novels. She begins writing science fiction fantasy novels. She writes between 66 and 67. She publishes three novels very quickly that are not bad, but that are largely read because of the other stuff she writes. In 1968, she publishes A Wizard of Earthsea, and bam, it is her first major work. She has become a major figure. Her next book after that is another masterpiece, The Left Hand of Darkness, a landmark in feminist science fiction. Then she writes Tombs of Adowin. She's on her way. The Earthsea books, they're originally commissioned. She is asked to write a book for young adults. It's YA. She doesn't take YA as a ceiling. She's going to write like she writes for everything. She's just going to make it a major sophisticated literary text. She's bringing all her guns. She doesn't leave anything off the table because she's got younger readers. So this book has had an adult readership from the beginning. She meant it as a standalone. It very quickly becomes a trilogy. 20 years later, she goes back and writes over time a second trilogy about this. The last thing Le Guin published in her lifetime, only a few years ago, was a short story in the Paris Review, a very prestigious literary magazine that is super not friendly to fantasy usually, but Le Guin is Le Guin. Last thing Le Guin ever publishes is a short story about Ged from Wizard of Earthsea on his deathbed. That's how it ends. She is thinking about tinkering with the Earthsea books forever. Some basic things about Le Guin. She is a high stylist. We're going to read her essay from Alpha to Poughkeepsie about the importance of style. Oh, and four things we should really talk about. She is very interested from her youth in Taoism, the Eastern religion called and philosophy called Taoism. That is a major influence, where the light and the dark are complementary figures. You will see how that plays out in The Wizard of Earthsea. She has interest in psychoanalysis and especially the works of Carl Jung. Scholarship has revealed that she doesn't start reading Jung himself till after she's written A Wizard of Earthsea, but like scholars have also mentioned, it's Jungian as all get out. There'll be a separate video on like Jung's idea of the shadow, which is pretty important here, and Earthsea. She is she is the child of America's leading anthropologist of his generation. She is Ursula K. for Kroeber Le Guin. Until fairly recently, the anthropology building at the University of California campus was the Kroeber building. It was named after him because he's one of the founders of modern anthropology. He specialized in Native Americans, including living Native Americans. He was interviewing. Le Guin's mother also was an author who wrote about Native Americans. So anthropology is a big part of Le Guin's Le Guin's entire intellectual apparatus. She's interested in making alternate societies that are coherent. Now, in Earthsea, in A Wizard of Earthsea, the first book, there's a lot of European stuff there. She is also extremely learned in the Western European tradition. Some of these moments are as Western as all get out. They're super French. Like the court of the Terranon, the name of the Terranon is almost a French with Terranon, not Earth. Is like right out of French medieval romance. The terrible moment where Ged decides unwisely to call up a famous spirit from the dead, is super like Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus. Dr. Faustus is a magician. He's messing around with magic. He shouldn't do it. He calls up Helen of Troy. She's also drawing on Western folklore materials. That summoning is also a folklore thing. But as the Earthsea books change and grow, there is more and more of an emphasis on the non-Western elements. They become less and less European. They are originally not white at all, though the Guin has pointed out they're often white. On the cover, she made Ged copper brown, and it's in the text, and she made Vetch clearly black, and they are made super white. A couple moments here that even with all the kind of Western European tradition that she's playing with, and if you want more Western European tradition, we're going to get to Tolkien next week. Tolkien is all about Western European medievalism. The the emphasis on true names is a kind of anthropological idea. It comes partly from Fraser's book, The Golden Bough, a famous anthropological work on magic. But the naming ceremony, the idea that you get your true name in adolescence in a kind of initiation ritual, is something that would come out of an anthropology textbook. And here it's taken as very real. That name is real. That name you get is real and it's powerful, and you got to keep it secret. I would also point out something that's part of the Earthsea books right from the beginning and never goes away and is very important here is they are the wizards are also shamans who can cross over into the land of the dead, which is not the Christian or Abrahamic afterlife in any way. It's another totally different afterlife, and it's super specific. Like there's a place they go and they all know it. They've all been there. There's a different set of constellations in the sky. That place has geography. That borderland between the living and the dead that wizards can go to and come back is super crucial, but also super resonant redolent of anthropological works on non-Western shamanic practice, including Native American shamanic practice. Last thing I want to talk about is feminism. Now, Le Guin is one of the lions of her generation's feminist science fiction and fantasy writers. You won't really tell that from The Wizard of Earthsea. Things change. This is a world still where legit magic is monopolized by men. Only men go to Roke Island. And by the way, yeah, if a school for wizards seems familiar to you now, it was very, very novel in 1968. Le Guin is pioneering here. Yes, I know about that famous other one. There are lots of them in between. But Le Guin is kind of breaking new ground. Only men can go to school in Roke Island. Women's magic are witches. The character of Sarah is dangerous and meretricious and deceptive. All of that. One of the reasons Le Guin keeps returning to Earthsea is to revise and change and expand things to make it more just, to not settle with what was publishable for what was published in 1968, but to keep changing her vision of this world, exploring it more. There are a lot of, she says there's a lot of islands she hasn't gone to yet, and a bunch of islands she hasn't explored fully, but also she keeps shifting and changing as she goes. We have a story of a young man. It's a novel of education. Ged learns to be a magician, but you'll notice that his graduation from the magic school isn't even halfway through the book. He has catastrophically come through his education. His education is over till the end of this book. This is a book about growing up, and one of the things magicians need to do in Le Guin, they need their emotional wholeness. If you're not emotionally balanced, you're a danger to everybody, especially to yourself.